Hey y'all, this is Auntie Mae, and tonight I got something real heavy to get off my chest. I ain't telling this for pity, I'm telling it 'cause maybe, just maybe, somebody out there is fighting the same quiet battle I did. See, my name's Martha Sterling, and for 52 years, I've been the glue that kept everybody else from falling apart. The problem was, nobody ever looked to see how cracked my pieces had gotten. Every morning of my life started the same way. Before dawn, before the birds even stretched their wings. Coffee pot humming, skillet warming, me standing there in my robes stirring eggs for a house full of grown folks who barely said thank you. My husband, Leon, he used to be a history teacher. Sweet man once upon a time, but the years dulled him down. He'd shuffle in every morning, robe half open, mumbling, mourning, like I was just the maid who kept his life tidy. My daughter, Sierra, she's 28, loud, beautiful, and selfish as Sunday traffic. She'd strut in, high heels clicking on my towel, talking about how her agency late paying her a diem. Mom, she say, I just need $1,500 till Friday. You know how it is. I can't miss Soul Cycle. I'd open my bank app, sigh quiet, and send it, just like that. No lecture, no question, just love. Then my son, Malik. Lord, that boy been figuring it out for 7 years. Every time I saw him, he had a new job title and no steady paycheck. Thanks for the transfer, Ma. He grinned, kissed my cheek, and promised this new firm was the one. I wanted to believe him. I needed to. I watch them all eat, laugh, and leave, my man, my babies, and when the door shut, that house went silent again. And in that silence, I'd feel myself disappearing. At work, I was Martha the Machine, clean suit, bright smile, numbers straight as church pews. Folks call me the backbone of the firm. They ain't know I was holding tears in my throat half the time. They ain't see my fingers shaking from too much coffee and not enough sleep. But I kept going, 'cause that's what women like me do. We keep going. Then one day, I saw something, just a random ad on my phone. The Maldives. Blue water, white sand, villas floating right on top of the ocean like heaven's porch. And y'all, I just stared at that picture till my screen dimmed. I thought that's it. That's what my family needs. Maybe if I give them a trip, a real break, they'll remember what love feels like. I told myself, Martha, you gonna fix what's broken. So I made a plan. I ran the numbers, trimmed every corner, skipped the bathroom remodel, took extra projects, worked weekends. If I stayed on track, I could pay for it all by May. I worked like my life depended on it. Up at 5, bed by midnight. My hands cramped, my back screamed, my heart fluttered funny sometimes, but I didn't care. I was building happiness brick by brick. By March, I had it all set. 2 weeks in the Maldives, oceanfront villa with a private pool, flights paid, insurance, transfers, every detail perfect. I even picked rooms based on who liked what view. Leon loved the sunrise. Sierra liked to take selfies by the ocean. Malik always wanted a balcony for thinking. I imagined that moment when I tell them. They'd hug me, thank me, maybe even see me again. Not as the woman who fixed everything, but the woman who loved them enough to. That night, I came home with the envelope in my purse. Printed itinerary, fancy paper, all of it. They were sitting around the table. Leon scrolling his phone, Sierra complaining about her boss, Malik talking loud about some lawyer friend. I took a deep breath and said, I got a surprise for y'all. They barely looked up. But I went on. I've been saving for months, working overtime, and May, we all going to the Maldives, 2 weeks, just us. Now that got their attention. Sierra screamed like she won the lottery. Malik started Googling pictures right there at the table. Even Leon smiled, the first real one I'd seen in years. He said, "You sure we can afford that?" And I said, "Baby, I planned every dime." In that moment, I felt proud. For once, I thought maybe this is it. This trip gon' fix everything. If y'all feeling this story so far, baby, go on and hit that subscribe button for Whispers of Auntie Mae. 'Cause sometimes the stories that sound sweet at first turn sour before the second act. Now back to me and my mess. After that announcement, I thought the worst was behind me. But I ain't know. The storm hadn't even started yet. 'Cause when a woman gives her all to people who only take, one day her body, her mind, even her heart gon' break trying to keep 'em whole. And that's exactly what happened to me. See, after I told my family about that trip, I felt like I could breathe again. They was laughing, smiling, acting sweet, like we used to back in the day. For a minute there, I thought, Lord, maybe my prayers been heard. But peace don't stay long when folks only love you for what you give them. I kept working, up before sunrise, home after dark. I'd be sitting at my kitchen table, laptop glowing, bills spread out like a battlefield. Some nights my head would throb so bad I'd have to press a cold rag against my temple just to think straight. Leon stopped asking if I was coming to bed. Sierra stopped calling me Mom, started saying Ma, like I was just another voice she could command. And Malik, that boy was still floating, talking about new opportunities while I was paying his old debts. Still, I told myself, just a few more weeks, we gon' make it to May. But I didn't make it to May, baby. I didn't even make it to the weekend. It was a Wednesday morning. I remember 'cause I woke up humming Al Green, fixing biscuits and gravy like nothing was wrong. Sunlight was spilling through them blinds, smell of coffee in the air. I was thinking about how good that ocean breeze gon' feel on my face. Then it happened. I was chopping up bell peppers, red ones, the kind Leon liked in his omelets. Next thing I know, the knife slipped right out my hand, fell hard, clattering on that tile. I reached down to grab it, but my right arm, it wouldn't move, like it ain't belong to me no more. I tried to call out, Leon, but what came out my mouth didn't sound human. It was all slurred, heavy, like my tongue forgot how to be part of my body. I remember feeling the room tilt, my knees buckle. I hit that cold kitchen floor so fast the world just shattered. I could hear the TV upstairs, hear Leon walking around humming like nothing happened. And me, I was laying there staring up at my own ceiling, watching the light fade in and out, trying to scream but sounding like a broken record. Next thing I remember, Leon's voice came running down the hall. "Girl, what the hell?" He dropped to his knees, grabbing my shoulders, shaking me too hard. I wanted to tell him stop, but I couldn't even move my lips. Then came Sierra, hair in a bonnet, frowning like I was bothering her sleep. "What's going on?" she said, rolling her eyes. "Your mama's sick," Leon hollered. "Call 911. And for once, that girl moved fast. Everything after that was lights and sirens and a man in blue saying, "Possible stroke." They loaded me on a stretcher, wires hanging everywhere, my body half dead, my mind screaming, "Please, God, not like this." When I woke up, I was in a cold white room, machines beeping, a tube in my nose. And when I tried to move, baby, I realized my whole right side was gone. Just gone. Doctor came in, a tall black woman with kind eyes. "Miss Sterling," she said soft, "you've had what we call an ischemic stroke. The clot hit the left side of your brain. You're stable now, but it's going to be a long road to recovery." I couldn't speak, but I understood every word. And I remember thinking, all that work, all that sacrificing, and this what I get? When they finally let my family in, I thought maybe, just maybe, they'd wrap me up, hold my hand, cry with me. But baby, I was wrong again. Leon came in looking tired, not sad. Sierra had her phone out like she was late to brunch. Malik looked confused like he walked into the wrong movie. They stood there whispering, glancing at each other like I was a bill they didn't know how to pay. Then Leon cleared his throat and said the words that still haunt me to this day. "The trip's already paid for, baby. You just focus on getting better, all right? Me and the kids gonna go. No sense in wasting all that money." I couldn't even cry right. All I could do was stare at them. They were smiling like it was some favor they was doing for me. Sierra talking about, "We'll send you pictures, Ma," and Malik asking if I already gave Leon access to my bank card. Y'all, that's when I realized I didn't raise a family. I built a pack of takers. And there I was, half dead, can't walk, can't talk, while the same folks I worked myself sick for was packing swimsuits and sunscreen. If this part hitting your spirit, baby, take a second to subscribe to Whispers of Auntie Mae, because what come next gonna make your heart break and stand tall at the same time. Now listen close. 3 days later, I watched that door swing open. Leon kissed my forehead, said, "We'll call when we land." Then he gone. Sierra gone. Malik gone. Just me. And the sound of that monitor beeping in time with my broken heart. But let me tell you something. When the world leaves you for dead, God will send somebody who sees your worth. And that's exactly what happened next. Child, if you've been following this story, you already know it's been heavy as sin on Sunday. Now, last we left off, my family done packed their bags, kissed my forehead, and flew off to paradise while I was stuck in that cold hospital bed, body half dead, soul full of tears I couldn't even cry right. But you see, when the devil think he won, that's when God start writing his plot twists. The first angel he sent my way was a nurse named Ruth Ann. She was a thick black woman with locks tied up in a scarf and a voice like butter on cornbread. Every morning she walk in humming old Mahalia Jackson songs, smelling like cocoa butter and peppermint oil. First day she came in, she said, "Good morning, Miss Martha. You ready to fight today?" Now my mouth still couldn't shape them words yet, but I blinked slow, trying to say, "I don't know how." She chuckled, said, "That's all right. I'm going to help you learn again." And she did. Every single day, Ruth Ann had me lifting them fingers, stretching that arm, practicing talking like a baby learning her first words. She ain't never pity me. She pushed me. She say, "You got folks who depend on you?" And when I blinked twice, she nod. "Then let's make sure next time they see you, they know they can't break you." Now, I ain't gonna lie, it was ugly work. There were nights I laid there sweating, muscles screaming, trying to pull my right leg up just an inch. Sometimes I'd fall asleep crying so quiet the machines couldn't even pick it up. But that woman, she stayed by my side, rubbed my hands with oil, whispered prayers over me, and told me stories about her grandma who survived worse. One night, when the hallways were dark and the nurses changed shifts, Ruth Ann sat beside my bed and said something that changed everything. She said, "Baby, I read your chart. I seen how much money moving through them accounts. You got folks you can trust to handle all that?" Now my left eye twitched, the only part that still told on me. She nodded slow. "That's what I thought. Don't you worry, we gon' handle that." Next day, she brought me a notepad and a pen, taped it to my left hand, and said, "Write slow, but write the truth." And I did, baby. I wrote names, numbers, accounts, all them little details I kept in my head for years. Then Ruth Ann said, "You got a lawyer?" I blinked twice. She smiled. "Good. I know a woman at the church, does elder law. You just rest. I'll make that call." And just like that, I had somebody fighting for me for a change. Now, while all that was happening, Leon and the kids were still posting pictures from the Maldives. You hear me? Pictures of blue water, cocktails, and smiles so fake you could smell the guilt through the screen. One of Ruth Ann's friends showed me on her phone. Child, I looked at that picture of Leon standing in a silk shirt with his hand around another woman's waist. Yeah, you heard me right, another woman. And something inside me snapped clean in two. All them years I spent serving that man, keeping his world together. And here he was, on a beach, playing husband to somebody else while I couldn't even lift a fork. Ruth Ann saw my face twist up and she said, "Don't you let that bitterness kill you faster than that stroke did. You gon' rise, baby, but you gon' rise smart." So I did. Day by day, word by word, I started coming back to life. Speech therapy, physical therapy, prayers, tears, and grit. Till one day, that doctor came in and said, "Miss Sterling, we moving you to rehab next week." Now listen, baby, this the part where my old life started slipping through my fingers like sand, and a new one started growing from that same dirt. Before I left that hospital, I had Ruth Ann call that church lawyer. Her name was Attorney Marla Jenkins, and she came in wearing a red blazer sharp enough to cut glass. She sat by my bed and said, "Mrs. Sterling, I hear you got some family problems." I looked at her, still struggling to speak, and whispered, "They left me." She leaned forward, eyes soft but steady. "Then it's time you stop leaving them in control." That woman helped me file paperwork right there from my hospital bed, froze my joint accounts, revoked the power of attorney Leon had slipped in under my nose, and started setting up a trust under my name only. When I tell you, baby, that was the first deep breath I took in months. I ain't fully recovered yet, but I was awake. Awake to the truth that sometimes family don't deserve your loyalty. They deserve your distance. Now, if you feeling that fire rising inside you, if you ever been left behind by the same folks you sacrificed for, baby, go ahead and subscribe to Whispers of Auntie Mae right now, because I got more story coming, and I want you sitting right here next to me when I tell it. So anyway, I rolled out that hospital a few weeks later, slow, weak, but grinning. And the first thing I said when that wheelchair hit the sunlight was, "I ain't dead yet." And Lord, I meant every word. But you best believe, the day Leon and them came back from that trip, that was the day I started teaching folks how to treat me right. Now, I told y'all last time, I was rolling out that hospital slow but smiling. And baby, that smile, that wasn't weakness. That was war paint. See, while my family was out there swimming in blue water and sipping cocktails, I was learning how to hold a fork again and hold my peace too. But peace don't mean silence, baby. Sometimes peace means preparation. When I finally got home from rehab, the house felt strange, empty, but heavy, like a church after the funeral. I rolled myself through that front door, smelled my own perfume faint on the curtains, and saw they hadn't even cleaned up before they left. Coffee mugs on the counter, mail piled high, a little note on the fridge that said, "Get better soon. Love ya, Sierra." No heart, no warmth, just ink and indifference. I remember sitting there, staring at that note, my hand shaking as I whispered, "Love ya." Baby, that word ain't supposed to sound like an afterthought. Ruth Ann had already warned me. "Now when they come back," she said, "don't you let them talk circles round your spirit. You got the law and the Lord on your side now." And she was right. Attorney Marla had everything in motion. The accounts frozen, my will rewritten, every dollar tracking back to me. So I waited. 2 days later, that front door flew open like a storm had blown through. There they was, Leon, Sierra, and Malik, laughing and dragging suitcases, skin glistening with sun and sin. Leon saw me sitting there by the window and froze mid-step. "Martha, baby, you look alive." I cut him off, voice still a little crooked but strong enough to slice. "Yeah, surprise." Sierra squealed, running up to hug me, smelling like coconut oil and entitlement. "Mom, we missed you so much." I just looked at her, smiled sweet, and said, "You look well fed, baby." Malik stood in the corner, quiet. I could see in his eyes he knew something was off. Leon tried to play his role, patting my shoulder like I was some fragile doll. "How you feeling, sweetheart?" I said, "A whole lot better now that I know where I stand in this family." He chuckled nervous. "Oh, come on now. Don't start all that. You told us to enjoy ourselves." I cut him off again, slow and cold. "I couldn't tell y'all nothing. I couldn't talk, remember?" That man's face went pale as ashes. Now, I didn't raise my voice, didn't curse, didn't holler. I just reached in the little pouch on my wheelchair and pulled out an envelope. I said, "Here, these came while you were gone." Inside was a letter from my lawyer, one for each of them, letting them know they had no more access to my accounts, my house, or my insurance. After all that mess, the stroke, the lies, the betrayal, I could have turned bitter. Lord knows I had every reason to, but I told myself, "Martha girl, you survived the fire. Don't come out smelling like smoke." So I took that settlement money Leon tried to steal and I did something with it. I started helping other folks like me, folks who ain't got nobody bringing them flowers of hope while they lay in them hospital beds. Ruth Ann, my angel in scrubs, she said, "We ought to open us a little center just for stroke survivors, a place that feels like home." I laughed at first. "Cha, I can barely walk straight, and you talking about opening a business?" She smiled, that warm, unbothered smile, and said, "You walking just fine in faith, baby." So we did it. We called it New Dawn Wellness, a little rehab and support center right here in Atlanta where folks could heal in peace, body, mind, and soul. First week we had 2 patients. By month 3, we had a waiting list. And every person who came through that door, I told them, "You ain't broken, baby. You just being rebuilt." Now let me tell you, the day I stood up on my own 2 feet again in front of them patients, holding that walker steady, I felt heaven touch earth. It wasn't no loud miracle. It was quiet, like a whisper from God saying, "See, I told you I wasn't done with you yet." One day, while I was sitting in my office at the center, I heard that front door creak open. And who do you think walked in? Sierra, my baby girl. She looked different, tired, somehow smaller. She said, "Mom, I heard what you built. I wanted to see for myself." I looked her up and down and said, "You came to visit or you came to learn?" She bit her lip. "To learn." I ain't say nothing, just nodded. And from that day on, she started coming around twice a week, helping with the patients. Not for money, not for clout, but for peace. And baby, that right there was my real miracle. Malik came later too, quiet as always. He didn't ask for nothing. He just said, "Mom, I'm proud of you." And that one sentence healed something deep in me I didn't even know was still so. As for Leon, he called once, said he was sorry, said he missed me. I told him, "Baby, I wish you well, but I ain't never going back to being somebody's second thought." Then I hung up. And I swear, when that phone hit the cradle, I felt 20 years younger. These days, I wake up with the sunrise. I still limp a little, but I walk tall. I sip my tea out on that porch, listening to the city hum, and I whisper a little prayer every morning. Thank you, Lord, for letting me lose everything that was never meant for me. See, folks think my last surprise was the sinner, but it wasn't. My last surprise was me, finding myself again, finding peace in my own company, loving Martha for the first time without condition. Now, if this story touched your heart tonight, baby, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for Whispers of Auntie Mae, because there's more stories where this one came from. Stories of women who fell, but got up looking better than ever. Go on and drop a heart in the comments if you feel me. And before I let you go, I just want to say this. If you ever wake up in a place you don't recognize, surrounded by folks who forgot how to love you right, don't you dare lose hope. Sometimes God lets you break so he can rebuild you in front of the same people who watched you fall. Now go on, baby. Take a deep breath, square your shoulders, and remember, your story ain't over till you say it is. With love and peace, this here's Auntie Mae signing off. Peace.